Admissions at Cathedral High School. I have to tell you, some people, so Jean Murray, can I pick on you? Jean Murray's badge has a special little ribbon on it. He has two special ribbons. One says alumni and one says parent. And when I got my little name tag, I was a little hurt because mine doesn't say parent. Well, my kids are long grown and gone and all have group insurance. So I'm not a current parent, but I was a parent for 10 years here at Cathedral High School. So I say that because I have been where you are. So one of my first trips up to the hill as a parent was at something exactly like this, which was an open house. And my husband and I came away and said, okay, is this going to be a good home for our 3 kids? Well, clearly we said yes. And 10 years after that, I said, I think it's going to be a good home for me as a highly paid employee too, right? So welcome, welcome. And when I say I have been where you are, my empathetic heart really goes out to you. So how many of you have current 8th grade students right now? Perfect. How many of you have current 7th grade students right now? Perfect. How many of you have kids younger than that? That is your oldest child. So no 6th grade, 5th grade? Okay. All right, so 7th grade parents, your timing is perfect. This is when you're trying to figure out, is this the right place? This is when you're trying to figure out, next year, is this where I want my child to apply? So fabulous and welcome, and I'm glad you're here. 8th grade parents, I'm going to pick on you for a minute. How many of you have already applied to Cathedral High School? Awesome, your timing is perfect then. All right. So for everybody else, October 15th is 13 days away. So you got plenty of time. So we have 2 admission cycles. September 15th, it's come and gone, let's not even think about it. October 15th, let's talk about that. So October 15th, you have 13 days. If you have not done it yet, you're going to see QR codes like this about the building. Please feel free to QR code yourself and get in there and apply. So what is a part of that application process? When you open up that application, you're going to see 2 checklists. You're going to see a required checklist as well as an optional checklist. That required checklist, through the magic of the internet, and it is magic and I did not write this code, once you fill out your application, your student essays, and your 7th grade grades, it's magical. Something pops up and you get to schedule your interview. All applicants at Cathedral High School are interviewed for admission. Now, at some point, we definitely want you to take the high school placement test. If you have not taken that yet, we're offering it here on campus on October 25th. We're going to want 2 teacher recommendations and any other standardized test scores that you might be able to have. Some schools do the ERB, some schools do iLearn, some do NWEA. So we love to have those standardized tests just because we draw from over 100 different grade schools. So how Our Lady of the South Side grades versus Public School of the North Side is completely different, right? So optional checklist. So if you were here earlier when Mr. Matthews was doing his presentation, we offer education at many different levels. So we have students here that have IEPs 504s, psychoeducational evaluations. We want those because we want to give your student every accommodation that he or she needs and deserves. And the only way we know how to best educate your student is if you give us all of that information, okay? One piece of, kind of keep it in the back of your mind, your application is live. So you may go through the whole October 15th application process. Your student has his or her admissions decision by Thanksgiving, and that's our guarantee to you. But something happened in March, and I want Cathedral to know. Your application's live, upload it. Something wonderful happened in February, upload it to your application. We want to know it. If your student enrolls at Cathedral High School, your future counselor will use that application. And he or she is going to use that application the whole time you're here to find out all of those great things that you did while you were in 8th grade. Any questions about this?
For the additional recommendations, if they have 504 IEP
That is a great
teachers
question.
or-
Just because you have a 504 does not mean you need additional recommendation. So this is a separate line item, from this is a separate line item, from this is a separate line item. I have students who give me my 2 recommendations and that's it. I have some students that give me 6 recommendations, and that's great too. So what I want of those 2 is a teacher or an administrator. If you have a coach or a pastor or a priest or a youth minister, those are lovely as well, but I really need to have at least 1 teacher and 1 administrator or 2 teachers. So great question, thank you very much. Anybody else have any questions about this? Go ahead.
So with the application process, with there being so many steps, because we've opened it up, we've already met the deadline for the application.
By applying by October 15th, you've met that deadline.
Even
Now,
though all of the required items are not checked off yet?
that is a great question. So when do I, as a parent, need to finish the rest of that item check line? We'd really like everything done if you applied by October 15th by the end of the month. So you've got a good 15 days. Certainly no later than early November because we're doing interviews the end of October and early November. So we need time to review your application. So great question, thank you.
And they, do you know about when the placement test results come in? Because my 8th grader took theirs last week.
You should be getting something in the mail.
Okay.
So yes, so placement test results usually take about 2 weeks. As soon as we get them, I do the electronic upload, so you may even see them on your child's applications, because I've already uploaded them. And then somebody in our office does the actual snail mail and mails it out. So it takes about 2 weeks. What if my child took the HSPT at Our Lady of someplace else? That's okay, you just need to get me those results. If your child took the high school placement test at another Catholic high school, that's okay. That is absolutely okay. But they're not gonna send me the results. You have to initiate them sending me the results, or you just sending me the results.
So we're
Okay?
able to upload those, because she took it at St. Matthew, and I think not Cathedral, Chittard administered it.
So, great question. So, how many of you go to one of the Northside Catholic Deanery schools? So, Chittard, which I think is lovely, administers the high school placement test at those North Deanery schools. Chittard is not going to send me those results. When you get them, scan it and send it to me. ewissler@gocathedral.com. Okay. So, great question. Thank you. My kids all have to St. Matthew, so great school.
Awesome.
They're all good schools, but I'm kind of partial to St. Matthew. I'm just saying. Okay, and that's those great questions. Anybody else?
What
Great.
is your email address?
So my name is Beth Wissler or Elizabeth Wissler, only when my mom is mad. So E. Wissler, EWISSLER at gocathedral.com. Can everybody hear me? My colleague just texted me and said, there's a microphone in there for you to use. I have a very loud voice though. Can everybody hear me? But thank you, Mary Beth. All right, so dates to remember. So how many of your students that are in here took the High School Placement Test Academy this summer? Awesome. My 7th grade students, come next summer and take the High School Placement Test Academy. We don't have those dates yet, but it's usually 1 week in June and 1 week in July. No, you don't take both, you just choose, and you either do morning or afternoon, and it's fun. You get swag, you get to meet other people. Chances are the child who sits to your left and the child who sits to your right, they're gonna come to cathedrals, you are gonna know people. So truly, come to the Placement Test Academy, it's a lot of fun. So that'll be next year. If you have already applied, we want you to come and date us for the day. Come and shadow. So I just talked to another family and they said, well, how do you fix up who shadows with whom? So Mrs. Cloud, who just texted me, we call her Match.com, she's gonna look at your application and she's gonna say, oh gosh, I have a soccer player that likes to crochet and loves math. She'll hook you up with a soccer player that likes to crochet and loves math. Believe it or not, that exists here. So we want you to experience a day in the life with someone who's just like you. Now, if you have a cousin or a friend or a sibling, should I shadow them? If you want to, but if they're into something that you're not, I don't know that I would do that. I want you to shadow with somebody who's gonna have classes just like you. And our students who come and shadow, it kind of gives them that time to, I like to compare it to a Disney film, of course, to try on that glass slipper and see if it fits. Because by the time you make that decision, we want it to be a really, really good fit for you all. We have other come and meet us dates. So if you did not learn all the information that you wanted to learn here tonight, I am hosting a parent coffee on October 25th while the high school placement test is going on. And there's another parent coffee, I don't see it on here, but it's sometime. So if you check our visit schedule, I love to do one-on-one tours. I love to host parents for parent coffees. It's just nice, so you guys can have your own personal questions answered. Any questions about our calendar? For those of you who are going to apply by October 15th and get your admissions notice by Thanksgiving, when do you have to sign on the dotted line? February 1st. If you sign before then, that's great. If you sign February 2nd, I cannot guarantee your spot. But if you sign by February 1st, I can absolutely guarantee your spot. Why would I encourage you to sign earlier than February 1st? Summer school. Well over 80% of our class of 2029 students took summer school this summer. They had the opportunity to sign up for summer school shortly after the first of the year. I don't know why, but summer PE sells out every year. So if you've got your heart set on summer PE, sign that contract ASAP.
Do the summer school sessions for incoming freshmen also offer like some sort of like a prep course, like study skills, things of that sort?
So great question. So what do we offer in the summer? So Mr. Matthews spoke briefly about our Holy Cross Achievers. So these are for students that may have some difficulty and may need a little extra help with math and with English. So that's more that study skills. So we offer that in the summer, but that's kind of by invite only. We offer PE, we offer health, we offer personal finance, we offer college and careers. So there's a lot of different opportunities for our students to take classes in the summer. I'm a huge recommender of it. My own three, they all took health, and this was their reasoning. I'm like, don't you want to take PE? Who wants to sweat during the school year? I have 2 daughters and a son. The son, okay, he can be sweaty. The daughter's like, you really want to be sweaty? Yeah. We want to take PE during the school year. That's easy. We want to take academic classes in the summer, so that's off. I'm like, okay. But that's how they make decisions, right? So you have to just do whatever works best for your student. But PE, morning PE is by far the most popular class. Any other questions before we move on? Go ahead.
I was glad he asked about the incoming freshmen. So for instance, like cheerleading and football, are they allowed to try out? Are they allowed to do that?
So great question. If you didn't hear her, so she asked, what if my student wants to get involved in some kind of sport or extracurricular activities? Summertime is the perfect time to do that. So we're going to flash forward in time. See my crystal ball? It's February 2nd. Everybody has signed their contract, and you know that you're coming to Cathedral High School. We have on our website a new families page. On that new families page, our coaches and our club moderators post when they start practices, when they have meetings. So if you know you have a cross-country runner and a cheerleader, and you want to know when those kids are going to start practicing and start tryouts, right, for cheerleading, that's all going to be on that new families page. Now, what if I want to do summer school? Can I run cross-country and practice and do summer school? Yes. Our coaches and our club moderators do an excellent job of only offering practices when school is not in session. What if I want to play football and basketball? Can I do both? Yes, you can. Yes, you can. So great question. Thank you for asking that. Anything else? You guys are smart. You guys have been really thinking. Go ahead.
Are there kids who might not get accepted initially, but then get accepted after February 1st?
So that's a great question. So that's a hard question for me because I absolutely hate putting kids on the wait list, but do I put kids on the wait list? I do. What will happen, and I'll be incredibly frank, so I'm in the middle right now of looking at all of those students that applied for September 15th. And I have some students, and I'll be very, very frank, that I'm already recommending that we kind of put on the wait list. And what does that mean? It means that I don't have anybody's 8th grade report card, because you guys have been in 8th grade for 10 minutes. So, I'm gonna put you on the wait list if I think that I really wanna see some 8th grade grades until I can get an 8th grade report card. Now, could I put you on the wait list to post February 1st? Yeah. But I would never do that without calling you and having a conversation. I get asked this a lot. Do you ever deny students? Yes, we do. How many do you deny? Way too hard to answer that. Last year I received 600 applications. We admitted 400, 320 said yes. Does that mean that I denied 100 students? No. Sometimes it just happens organically. Sometimes as you go through the process, the child, the parent, we have a conversation, we all together realize that maybe Cathedral's not the right fit. Sometimes students are put on a wait list until we determine that there's room for that student. Sometimes we encourage students to apply after they've had their freshman year in high school. Does that answer your question?
Yes.
And again, if I could, I would open up a school of a bazillion students and accept all bazillion, but that's not what we're doing here, okay? Go ahead.
For the 8th graders that are coming in with credits, do those credits transfer to Cathedral?
Okay.
So,
You
like she's
just-
taking
you don't-
academic classes right now.
You are perfect. You don't know this, but you just cracked open a huge egg, okay? So if you didn't hear her, she said, my student, where does your student go to school?
She goes to New Augusta.
New Augusta. My student goes to New Augusta. He or she is currently taking high school level credit classes.
Yeah.
Will Cathedral take those classes? All right, we're about to dive into the weeds. Did everybody bring their cranberry boots? Okay, because we're going bogging. This is really in the weeds, so here we go. For any student who goes to a public high school that public grade school that feeds to a public high school, AKA Eastwood Middle School feeds into North Central. Fishers Junior High feeds into HSE. So these are true feeder school systems, public schools, right? Why am I making the distinction? Okay, hold on. Again, everybody has on their bogging boots, right? If I go to one of those schools and I'm taking Algebra 1 and Spanish 1, if you give me your 8th grade transcript that shows that as a high school class, you get the credit. Is credit a big deal at this level? No. It's really not. We're gonna give you a bazillion opportunities to take a bazillion credits, right? What's more important in that whole equation is, will you recognize that my student took Algebra 1 and Spanish 1? Yes, she says hesitantly, after they take a mastery test. Why am I so funny about that? The last thing I would want your student to do is to come to Cathedral High School and like, oh, Algebra 1, put him or her right in geometry, and then they drown. I don't ever want a student to come here and drown. I want your student to come here and be incredibly successful. I would rather your student come here and take Spanish 1 twice and ace the you-know-what's-it out of it when they're here at Cathedral. I want your students to be incredibly successful. If your student takes that mastery test and they're in Spanish 2, woohoo, that's great. Let's talk about math for a minute. Again, I warned you we're in the weeds. At Cathedral, you're gonna take 4 years of math. The default is that you're gonna start with Algebra 1. I have a freshman right now that is in pre-calculus, which means he had to take a mastery test in Algebra 1, 2, and geometry. He aced them all, woohoo, good for him. Is he still gonna take 4 years of math at Cathedral? He is. Are we gonna have to be creative and have some relationships with some colleges for him to get 4 years of math? Yes, we are. Do we like doing that? Yeah, we do. Let's go. I love that he's gonna take 4 years of math here. I'm not sure what he's gonna take his senior year, but it's gonna be great. So if you come to me and say, my student has already taken Algebra 1 and geometry, that's amazing. They're gonna start after they take those mastery tests with Algebra 2, pre-calculus, calculus, and then maybe finite math, maybe statistics. There's lots of options. Math is free. Math is infinite, right? Does that answer your question?
So it really doesn't transfer.
It does.
They have to pass the mastery. So do they take that like their freshman year coming in?
They take that in the spring.
Okay.
So if you come to me and you give me your transcript and say, my son, my daughter has taken all of these high school level classes, that is great. Because it means they're gonna get to take a lot of other stuff here that some kids won't have time to take. So I love that. But they all have to take that mastery test. Because you would be really mad at me if your child took that higher level math and got a bad grade. That would just kind of kill me on lots of levels. So great question, hard question, very hard. So anybody else have any questions on that? Again, I warned you that we were in the weeds, but that is a really good question. And some of our public schools, some of our private schools are doing an amazing job with prepping your students for high school by offering these higher level classes, which is great. I happen to be on school commission for St. Matthew, and I'm talking to our school principal, and she's telling me that kids who come to kindergarten, they already know how to read. I was floored. Well, kids who come to high school already know how to do Algebra 1. I'm still floored. I think it's great. Any other questions?
One more question.
Sure.
For the enrollment process on the acceptance, do they have to meet a standard for the HSPT? And their 8th grade and 7th grade report cards, like you said, do they have a weight-in of accountability for them to be accepted?
That's a great question. So how do I correspond high school placement test with grades? So, and do I have a cutoff number with a high school placement test? I do not. The high school placement test is just that, is a placement test. I have students who score a 99, I have students who score a 19. They're both accepted. That is absolutely okay. How does that correspond to grades? Okay, and this is a true story. I have a student who did really well on the high school placement test. Mid-80s composite score. Really well. I get his grades. He's got a lot of C's, D's, and F's. Well, what does that tell me? That student has the ability, but that student does not have the drive. That student is going to be put on my back burner for a while. That student may be waitlisted. Because I want a student who's going to come to me that has a lot of drive. So that student who gets a 20 to a 40 on the placement test, but is straight A's, that's a student I want. Because that student has a lot of drive. That student's not afraid to work hard. All that placement test tells me is that student's a terrible test taker, and that's okay. That is absolutely okay. I want the student with drive. Is that your question?
Love it. Yeah.
And I have one of those students. I have my youngest daughter did not do well on the standardized test, but my golly, she was never
Not a
afraid to
good
work
test-
hard.
Definitely not a good test taker, but 4.0 her.
I want those students with drive. So great question. What else? Okay. We've talked a lot about this. Come visit me, come shadow. You're here, it's open house. Open house next year, we've already set for October 1st. I can't believe we're already talking about open house of 2026. So 7th grade parents, take a note. And then this is the rest of the night. So there's lots of other fun stuff to do tonight, but my takeaway for all of you is if you have an 8th grader and you haven't applied, apply. If you have a 7th grader, start looking at your summer and see if you have room for that high school placement test academy camp. And if you've not taken the placement test yet, reserve the best 3 hours of your life for October 25th in the morning, and it really is. What are your questions? What are your concerns? What's still heavy on your heart?
One last thing, the scholarship.
She is not
I'm so
I did not
sorry.
place her in this room, but I love this.
Scholarships.
Okay, so your question timing is perfect. Right next to you is Mr. Gene Murray. Gene Murray is our financial aid director. He's going to talk a little bit about the financial aid process. So, does Cathedral High School give scholarships for football players? No. Does Cathedral High School give scholarships to kids who play trumpet? No. I wish we did. We always need more trumpet players. We do not. We offer one non-financially aid scholarship, a merit scholarship that's based on that high school placement test score. Any student who scores a 95 or above earns, as my mother would say, cash money. 95, 96, 97, $2,500 a year. $99.98, $4,000 a year. Why do we do that? My student's a straight A student, that's great. Straight A students from St. Matthew are different from straight A students from Riverside. Okay, I cannot give a scholarship based on grades because I have over 100 different grade schools in my school. This year's freshman class is 82 different grade schools. The only way I can give an objective merit-based scholarship is on the high school placement test. Okay, push that aside. Financial aid. Every person in this room for the school year 26-27 will receive the Indiana Choice Voucher. It doesn't matter if you make $1 million or $1. Every single parent receives an invisible check. It is invisible. The parent gives that invisible check to their child. That child takes that invisible check to his or her school of choice, hence the name, the Indiana Choice Voucher. Do I have to give Mr. Murray all of my documentation for that? You do not. What if I think I can get some more financial aid based on my household size, my household income, and we're taking care of deaf Aunt Myrtle? Well, then you apply for financial aid, which is great, which is fine. And Mr. Murray's gonna talk a lot more about that in the next session. So great question, all of you, go ahead. I'm here, if you want to ask me any more questions, again, ewhistler@gocathedral.com. I would love it if we would do individual tours. I'd love to get to know my future family, so thank you very much.